A reminder of a couple of passages. Turn to Ephesians chapter 3. In my summary of things, I somehow neglected these two passages, but only for reason of emphasis. I want to repeat them. I know we've looked at them before, but it's been some weeks. Ephesians chapter 3. Somebody start reading with, well, I'll start reading with verse 7. Ephesians 3:7. Of this gospel I was made a minister according to the gift of God's grace, which was given me by the working of his power. To me, though I am very least of all the saints, this grace was given to preach to the Gentiles the unsearchable riches of Christ, and to make all men see what is the plan of the mystery hidden for ages in God who created all things. That through the church, the manifold wisdom of God might now be made known to the principalities and the powers in the heavenly places. This was according to the eternal purpose which he has realized in Christ Jesus our Lord, in whom we have boldness and confidence of access through our faith in him. It's through the church that the wisdom of God is to be made known everywhere. That's basically what he's saying. Even the peoples that are in places of power, principalities and powers, everywhere under heaven, everywhere that heaven is. This wisdom of God is to be made known through the church. Our brothers and sisters in Christ need to be reminded of that. And, as I said earlier in the class, weeks ago, there is no backup plan. He doesn't have another plan in place in case this one fails. We're not to fail. We are to succeed by his power in doing what he asks us to be his messenger and his mouthpiece to the world. One more verse that I think is worthy of being reminded of is 1 Peter chapter 2. 1 Peter chapter 2. You are a chosen race, verse 9. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9. You are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation. You are God's own people. Who's he talking to? The church. Here's why we exist: that you may declare the wonderful deeds of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. A reminder, once you were no people, but now you're God's people. Once you had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy. Because of what he's done for us, he wants us to go and tell the world, here's what he's done for me. Oh, and he did it for you. Be open with me now. In your experience, churches you've attended, maybe some that you were raised up in, maybe the one that sent you here, is this the major focus of the local congregation in most places? I'm seeing a few heads going this way. I don't see any going this way. It's not the major focus. Would you get the idea? And it is not taking these things out of context. This is repeated. This whole thought is over and over again. To evangelize the lost, to edify the saved, to reach out and meet people's needs, starting with our own. But taking the gospel of Jesus Christ to lost people, helping to mature them into the likeness and fullness of Christ, to be God's messengers to the world. Can you think of any other reasons that the Scripture gives us that we exist? Well, then why doesn't he just take us right on home after baptism? Because he's got something for us to do. One of your major tasks as a method of evangelism is to get the whole church again focused on who they are and why they're there. I don't know how many times I've said it since we started this class, but that's who you're going to be, is the drum beater, the reminder, the constant, through your preaching, through your teaching, through your practice, through your example, by shoulder tapping people, bringing more and more people on board, until the whole body, everybody knows what their part is and they're working toward that end. Any questions about this or thoughts before we move on? I was just looking through my notes and decided that needed to be said. Somebody? Yes, sir. That we read here? Ephesians 3. I started with verse 7 and went down through 11. 12? But it's 10 and 11 that make the major point. That it's through the church that the manifold wisdom of God should be made known to the principalities and the powers in the heavenly places. This is according to his eternal purpose, his eternal plan. Basically, that was one of the verses that I used even as a title for my book. He has an eternal plan. And the church is it, as far as God making known his love to the world. Okay, any other questions? Well, in this session, I want to do this. I want us to have a brainstorming session together. And here's a couple of reasons that I want us to do this. One is that you can go out and use a similar method in a congregation where you go out and work, to get them thinking, to get them dreaming, thinking outside of the box. I'm looking for some notes that I took last night, but I don't see them. Let's think of breaking up the work of the church into three major areas, okay? I call this a comprehensive or holistic evangelistic work. I really shy away from the word program. I think if you want to kill something, make a program out of it. But anyway, here's three. If a congregation of people could think of everything that they're doing falling into one of these three categories. I had a Texan tell me I just could put meet them. But meet them. Meet them, that's the lost. Win them. And keep them. This is the maturing process. Helping them to grow up into the likeness and the fullness of Christ. Everything that we're doing as a local congregation, if you can get the people that you're working with, let's for the rest of this session until the next break, let's think of ourselves as a local congregation. And we're going to try to categorize everything that we're doing in one of these three categories, okay? Even, let's take for example, even our buildings and grounds. Okay? Where would that fall from your perspective right now, just kind of thinking about it? Where would that fall here? Anybody? Okay, it certainly is used in our keeping them. It's also part of meeting them. It's a permanent exposure to the community that we're here to stay. I can't think of any better reason since the Bible doesn't even mention buildings. Ooh, man, that's a touchy subject, isn't it? Well, I can't find the notes I was looking for. That's right. But it does give us a place in which we can say, this is a tool that's been given to us to serve this community. I can't think of any better reason than to spend $2 million on a facility, the construction of it, paying the interest on the loan, equipping it, furnishing it, keeping it up, maintenance, heating, cooling, air conditioning. Easily within 10 years, you could spend $10 million on a $500,000 building. taking into account all the costs. We need to be using it 7 days a week. And using it as a way to meet new believers, using it as a tool to say to the community, we're here to serve you. This is a community house. And allowing that building to be used that way. Man, it is amazing to me how many places I go that the building is still thought of as a holy place. That's Catholic again, the sanctuary. It's a house that we meet in. And that would be the keeping them. It's a house that we meet in. It provides a place for us to come and meet together and study together and pray together. But man, it's a lot of money spent for that house. It needs to be used as a tool as well to meet the community, reach the community. Now, that's just one example. Everything that we're doing needs to be seen as fitting into one of these three areas of work. Anybody disagree with that? Can you think of anything that we as a church often do and are involved in that doesn't fit into one of these three categories? Now, most of the time in this class, and for obvious reasons, the name of the class is Evangelistic Methods, most of the things that we've been talking about are right here. And I dare say that 95% of what's going to work and what we do is one-on-one evangelism. Now, it's hard for a guy that spent a good share of his adult life preaching. Pulpit preaching is responsible for less than 5% of converts. Let me say it again in another way. Less than 5% of the people that come to Christ come through strictly their exposure to pulpit preaching, the public proclamation of the word on Sunday morning. Because what did God intend that the assembly was really to be for? Edifying of the saints. It's our locker room. It's our huddle. It's our getting together at the training camp to go out and be involved in the game, be involved in the work 24/7. And so for our assembly to be the place that people are one, doesn't work. Or you're preaching the same first principles to the saints over and over and over and over again, trying to cater to the few and occasional visitors that you might have. And consequently, an evangelistic tool that often is practiced is inviting your friends and neighbors to church. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but you need to be inviting them to Jesus, and you need to be inviting them to study the Scriptures with you and to learn about Jesus. And then, as they begin to get the idea of the beauty of salvation and want to celebrate that and be a part of that assembly of saved people, then the Lord will add them to His church, and then they begin to attend. But winning them through one-on-one evangelism is the primary way that they're going to be won, not through public assembly. So public assembly really fits in over here. And occasionally, to inviting people to come, there's some strays that'll walk in off the street because you put a sign out in front and says, this is when you meet. But you're going to have to get them into a one-on-one Bible study, probably for them to be one. Can you see how our concept somehow in the Lord's church, we put a sign out in front and said, visitors welcome. If they want to learn, they'll come. Wrong answer. They probably won't come. And because it's very awkward for them, even when invited to begin to come, they're not familiar with what is this tray that's coming by with this cracker in it? And all I ever heard from Christianity is about giving. Sure enough, they pass the tray and ask me to put my money in it. They don't understand any of that because they don't understand why Jesus had to die. One-on-one is where it's at for winning them. Now here's where we really need to be creative. I'm talking about thinking outside the box. And it's been too long since many of our brothers and sisters in Christ have been stimulated to think outside the box. to learn about who's in our community and basically create some targets. Do some demographic studies. Help the congregation where you're going to go and work to do some demographic studies. Find out who's there. And every work that you're doing is aimed at some particular group of people. Oh, and here's another group of people in our community. A different culture than these. Maybe a different educational level, a different income level, a different ethnic group. Here's another group of people, though. The demographics tell us that they're there, and they're a large percentage of our community. Then we need to have some works and something, call it whatever you want, but don't call it a program. Some programs, some things, some works that you're doing that are aimed at meeting them, getting to know them, serving them. It was amazing to me as I just got back from Plainview. I visited Kevin up in Hale Center. I've been out to Floydada. This week I'm going to Abilene to do a workshop. It's amazing to me when I go in and say, what's the demographics of this community? Plainview this week said 70% of our community is Hispanic. And I said, what works do you do that aim at the Hispanic community? It was like I was speaking a different language. Most of the things that they're doing are over here. That doesn't promote church growth. Well, spiritual growth, but spiritual growth includes more than just food. It requires more than just food. Spiritual growth requires exercise. And this is exercise. This is the exercise God intended for us to be involved in. Edifying the saved, yes, but reaching the lost. So, what I want to do here in just a minute is to do some brainstorming, assuming that we're a congregation in a community, and I'm one of the leaders of that congregation, this congregation, and we're going to brainstorm to create some ideas, some works that we can do aimed at certain segments of the community. Okay? Any question about what we're going to do here when we do this brainstorming in a minute? We also, and by the way, there's only one reason that we're doing these things. That's to work into their lives and to build a relationship with them so we can get a Bible study with them and tell them about Jesus. You understand what I'm saying? We're not doing these things as just some exercise. For instance, we're finding out there's a part of the community that really has some physical needs. They need some help with some food. We're going to start a soup kitchen. I'm just an example. We might come up with that on the list. But if we don't teach those people that we're feeding soup, if we don't get a chance to go ahead and bring them over here, so what? They get full of soup, but they never get full of Jesus. They might go around the community saying some pretty nice things about you, but they're not giving glory to God. They're not saying nice things about Jesus because they haven't heard about him yet. I remember one particular congregation in a northern Illinois town. They had an absolutely awesome benevolence program going. They had a building about 3 times the size of this room that they had built at the edge of their parking lot. And they were so excited about the benevolence work they were doing. How many families each month that they served? It was up in the hundreds. People that would come for clothes and would come for food. Even rent that was being paid and electric bills were being paid. They were excited about it. I said, what are you doing to teach them about Jesus? What? What are you doing to teach them about Jesus? I said the same thing, I just said it slower. It was like I was talking a different language. And I suggested, well, you know, you can buy these by the box. Stick one in each bag of groceries. First, challenge them and make them commit themselves to read it. If they say, no, I'm not interested, then don't put it in there. But I think it would make you question as to why you're going to give them another bag of groceries if they're not interested. In other words, yeah, we need to feed people's stomachs, but we need to feed their spirit, their soul. We need to feed their mind with the good news message of Jesus. So we're doing this so that we can do this. But don't minimize the importance of this. Because if this isn't in place, they're going to be stillborn or drip dry or call it whatever you want, but they're going to fall away as infants. And so we really need to take them from this to teaching them to observe all that I've commanded you, Paul told the apostles. Make disciples, baptize them, and teach them to observe all that I command you. So we need to be creative here as well. With these new babes that are being brought into the kingdom, how are we going to get them involved? How are we going to make them feel like they're a working, functioning part of the body? Well, first of all, they need to feel totally 100% accepted. They need to be adopted right on in, and families in the congregation need to start building relationships with them. That means daily contact. That means having them into their homes. That means sitting down and having meals with them and praying with them and listening to them as they begin to help them grow into a part of the body, a working, functioning part of the body, so that they get involved in this and bringing people to that, and they're sharing the gospel with Jesus with people, and they too then get brought into the body so that they get grafted in, and their whole world is outside of Christ. They're going to help you meet more people. You see how it just begins to grow? But many of these things, our churches just still keep on doing what they've always done and not thinking outside the box and trying to get a different result by doing the same thing. And what is that a definition of? Insanity. Doing the same thing, expecting different results. They've been doing these things for years. The church is dying and getting smaller. And they can't figure out how to get outside of themselves, how to get outside of what they've been doing. Not that the things they're doing are wrong, but it's not reaching the community for Christ. It's not meeting new people and bringing new people into Bible studies and bringing new people into Christ. Kevin?
I was going to say, as we discussed before, it seems like there's often a concept of this, we're in the survival mode, and this is just kind of the way things are in this part of the country, in this area, and that's been part of the concept that needs to be overcome. Is we can't be content in the keep them section of this is what we do. We're trying to keep everybody here because.
Okay, did you hear the term that he used? What mode are we in? The survival mode. Is that what God wants from what we were reading about churches growing? Does God just want Billy to survive? Did he design him? Did he design bodies to just survive? Or to grow and serve his purpose? Our problem is we're kind of stuck right there, aren't we? I can remember one elder, I was probably about 25 years old, and I went to one of these annual meetings. You know, the church has to have an annual meeting in order to fulfill their political or their governmental obligation as a 501c3. You have to have a meeting. And back then they used to think that everybody had to be there, and so it was, it was boring. Oh, I mean, bored right out of your mind. As they went down through every detail on the budget, you know. But I can remember one of the elders got up and said, "I want to summarize our meeting." And I thought, "Oh, was it over?" And he said, "Here's the summary of all that we've said. We're keeping on, keeping on, We're a little smaller than we were, but we're surviving. And it was like, yes! I mean, that was what he was trying to get out of us, and I was thinking, no, it just don't seem right somehow. So, what are we going to do? Here's one suggestion. It's only a suggestion, but I have found this to work. It worked at Rochester. It worked at Plainwell. I believe it can work anywhere. Here's some rules for what we're going to do now. We're going to look for new ideas. Okay? I need a volunteer to come up here and write new ideas. Who wants to do that? Don't all speak at once. Jeff, do you want to come up and do it? And we're just going to look for new ideas. Here's some rules. You might want to sit down. It's going to be just a minute. I got rules. You can take 2 lines. Make it big enough so they can read it from the back row. So probably 2 lines, okay? And we're going to, don't worry about all the ideas fitting on one page because we're going to rip them off. This has got some stick them on the back. We're going to stick them on the walls. Okay, we're going to line the walls with new ideas for this congregation to reach this community. Okay? Now you can be thinking of the community that you came from, or you can think of Lubbock, Texas, or you can think of the congregation that you know that you're already going to go to work, but just come up as if this is the community that we're in, and you know the demographics. We're looking for new ideas to reach the lost, to meet them. Here's some rules. Money is no object. Because he promised, I know that, boy, you want to listen to some folks choke on that, okay? What do you mean money? They have forgotten. I am able to supply every need of yours for every good work. I mean, I can show you passage after passage above more than we could ever ask or imagine. That's what he's able to do. So for our brainstorming, money is no object. After they get done choking, you move on to the next one. There is no such thing as a bad idea. Okay? You're all going to be giving me your ideas here in a minute, and we're going to be writing them down. There is no such thing as a bad idea. All right, now we're going to eliminate out some things that might be unscriptural before we go ahead and vote on these things. All right, and we're going to go ahead and mesh some together that sound like they're repeating one another. So don't, just because there's something similar to it up there already, we'll eliminate those down in just a little bit. We don't, as we go and begin to just ask for ideas, just brainstorm, just bring these things out, ideas for meeting more people and reaching more people, so that we can get a Bible study with them someday. But we got to reach them, meet them first. There's no debating, no discouraging when somebody brings it up, no going into great detail. That's something we can work out once we decide it's a good enough idea that we want to pursue it. Look at it a little closer. So there's no debating, there's no discussing, there's no discouraging, there's no details. It's not a matter of practicality that we're going to be asking for. Is it practical? That's not a matter. Just looking for good ideas. We'll decide whether it's practical later. Don't hold back, even if it doesn't sound too realistic at first or doable. We'll decide that later. And as I said before, no criticisms of thoughts. No laughter breaking out when somebody brings up an idea. That's criticism. Did you hear what he said? You know, that type of thing. None of that. We're going to eliminate duplications before we have a chance to vote on these things. We're just going to put them in basic topic form. We're going to prioritize them into groups. Any other rules that you can think of that need to apply here in order for fresh ideas to be able to be given? Think outside the box. Good expression.
Put yourself in the hearer's shoes.
Okay? In the ones that are out there hoping that some answers might start coming their way. We're going to prioritize what are the easiest things to do with the greatest result? In other words, where's the biggest bang for the buck? Later, okay? Just give us some good ideas first. Now, when we're all done putting all of these ideas up here, here's what we're going to do. I have some of these little stick-on notes. I'm going to give you all a certain number depending on how many ideas we come up with. And you're going to be asked to put your dots on what you think are the best ideas. Okay? But let's get started with this first, and we'll discuss more about that next step in just a minute. When it gets to the putting the dots on, we're going to do that. Now, you guys up there in the screen up there, both in the northwest and the northeast, write down these thoughts as something that you might want to practice with the local congregation someday. It's going to be a little hard for you to participate in this, but write them down. Maybe if you got a board there in front of you or something, just write these ideas down, and maybe you can add. Okay, and don't be afraid to speak up and share ideas that you have as well. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and start. We want to reach some folks that we've never reached before and do a better job at reaching the ones that we've tried before. You might even mention some things that you already see being practiced, and we want to know whether to continue those things or not. Okay? Yes, sir.
Given the community, we should be offering and using this building, offering evening courses to learn English.
Okay. Okay, I think they call that, there's a name for that, Friends Speak, okay? The idea of evening classes to English as a second language.
We can do that, and we need to teach our members, for example, Spanish.
Okay, teach our English-speaking members a language that's prevalent out there in the community. If we're in a Hispanic community, our members need to be learning some Spanish. We can offer some Spanish classes at our building, so that's number 2. Okay? And teach them sign language. There's some deaf folks in our town, and demographics would say maybe there's only a couple hundred of them, but who's teaching them about Jesus? Okay? Okay, wait, slow down. Okay, community groups using the building. Girl Scouts? You might go ahead and put Girl Scouts on 3. Okay, community use. 4-H, go ahead and number 4, 4-H. And members in the building. Community use with members present. Okay? Just put in parentheses under that with members present. Members of the church present. Okay? Other ideas, other groups? AA, NA, go ahead and put down under 5 or this. Here, let's do this. Let's go ahead and make this all a part of 3. Okay? AA. NA. Okay. Other groups?
Weight Watchers.
Weight Watchers. Okay. All right. But these are things that are important for us to go ahead and say there's groups of people out there trying to help people. We're in the people helping business. Why wouldn't we show some interest? Say again?
New churches for new people.
New churches.
What I mean is people coming to Sunday. Like some of my neighbors feel intimidated coming to Sunday because it's so big.
Okay.
And in some ways it's personal.
Ooh, man, new churches for new people. Okay.
So like a small group?
Well, like some of those people, like they come from churches that they have meals every Sunday. They sit together. They don't sit. I mean, they don't sit in the pews. They sit around.
Okay, we're going to discuss that one some more, but man, that's a great idea. Starting planting some new churches in outskirts of the community instead of asking them to come to a big established church, okay? Somebody else back here.
Sporting events?
Sporting events, what do you mean by that?
Well, I thought curling would be good to reach out to the Norwegian. Well, I don't know. You often,
No laughing? It's discouraging.
Sorry.
Okay. No, go ahead.
I think it's a big call for you to
What?
have healthy competition that is not award-oriented.
Okay, in other words, there's a demographic group that might be involved in sporting events, but they don't have any place to practice it. Okay? All right. So sporting events that would help. I could tell you even names of elders that are now members of the church and elders in the church that came and started because there was a softball team that was asking members to participate. Over here, we're going to move right on across, and then I'm going to come back over there.
Divorce outreach.
Divorce outreach groups. Hurting people in the community, putting groups together, a divorce outreach group. Recovery group, okay? Recovering from hurt people.
Yeah, like something like reentry, me being an ex-con, just into real life, or maybe they can drug addict.
Helping people that are coming out of difficult lives. Recovery.
Into just normal, everyday, some kind of social program, some kind of, how do I communicate with you?
Okay, I think this one right here and this one will probably end up being linked together, but recovery groups, okay? Okay, good, Don. Over there?
Mentoring programs for young people.
Mentoring programs for young people. More specific? Any in particular you can think of?
We've got teen groups for girls, or just to have somebody as a role model for them.
Okay, providing role models for young people.
Big brothers.
Big brothers, okay? Going to nursing homes, conducting services there, having Bible classes at nursing homes. Man, that is excellent. Okay, nursing home ministry. Okay, go ahead and tear that one off and start on another one. You're off. Somebody come and help us here. You want to do this? Yeah. You're kind of short, so reach up as high as you can. Okay, here, we'll let her do it. She's taller. Okay, she can reach up to just right here, right here, right here. Yeah, that's good. Stick it up high. We're going to have a lot of these. Okay. Excellent idea. Over here.
Youth rally or VBS.
You guys be thinking of some more over there. I'm coming back over there.
Youth rally or vacation Bible school.
Okay, youth rally or vacation Bible school that's not just for one day a week, but maybe on weekends all through the year. Okay? All right, you got that? Youth rallies or put youth rallies? Nah, make it a different one. Okay, for community youth, put youth rallies for community. Okay? In other words, that it's not just saying the same things to our own kids over and over again, but reaching new kids. Okay, right here?
Maybe having like a community block party or something, just having people, I don't want this community cookout or something.
For adults.
Inviting neighbors
Over for a barbecue.
Yeah.
Okay, and then meeting them. Okay, having neighbors over and have that be not just an occasional, but a planned activity that many of the communities much of the congregations get involved in.
And then another one, like if you have like the sports teams or something like in the schools, like maybe they go to state or something and they have a success and you just invite the whole team to come.
Okay, an award celebration for successful teams in the town, sports teams in town.
Just anything.
Okay, good.
Yeah, one is like visiting local prisons,
Visiting local prisons.
and then another one is just putting an ad in the paper.
Okay, visiting local prisons. In other words, not just visiting, but having Bible classes at local prisons, having a jail ministry. Okay, and the other one was running ads in the newspaper for World Bible School or Bible classes, or saying, would you be interested in studying the Bible with us? Okay, all right.
Hey Jerry, we've got a couple here in Palmer.
Okay, just a minute.
One of the things was maybe putting an ad in the newspaper for free Bibles.
Okay, free Bibles.
And they have to come to the church to pick them up, but we'll give them free Bibles.
Okay.
And maybe inside the cover we'll put a note that, we'll study the Bible with them for free.
Okay.
Another one is to do a free community car wash.
Say that one again.
We have a bunch of people that just do the free car wash.
Free car wash. Okay, a free car wash.
That too.
Okay. Now they're going to certainly know that you care something about them if you care whether their car's dirty. Okay. All right. Any others up there at either northwest or northeast?
I've heard of congregations opening up the building for use in voting,
Okay, a voting station. Okay, a voting station in the community, for the community. That certainly lets them know that you're there. And all at once they come in and say, "Oh, it's a pretty nice place. I wonder what they believe here." And have some of your members over there. Okay, pass them maybe I'm not sure what the rules are on that, but at least you could be there and just shake hands with them. Anybody else up there? Okay, we're going to keep working across the room this way, and then I'm coming back over here. So, are you guys thinking over here? Okay, good.
Youth sports activities, getting the community kids together.
Okay, community kids together for sports activities. Okay.
Like playing basketball.
Just put up a basketball rim in your parking lot. Offer times that there's going to be kind of a pickup game there. Okay, over here.
I think this is something that Aaron has done, and my team did also when I was in AIM, is not using cars and riding the bus, talking to people on the bus.
Okay, not using your cars, but using public transportation just for the reason of meeting people. Excellent. Okay, that was a former aimer there going ahead and throwing that one out. That was a good one. Yes.
Our home congregation done what's called a giveaway day.
A giveaway day.
Instead of having, people having garage sales and stuff, everybody has things in their house that they don't need anymore.
Okay.
So they collect them at the church, and then now if they don't sell them, it's a giveaway day.
It's a giveaway day. Okay.
And so people from the community can come and pick up stuff. And the first year we did it, there was like, people were like, oh, you're just giving this away? But then they got used to it, and people from all over.
Ooh, great idea. Okay, what does that say? A lot about your generosity. A free giveaway day. Not a yard sale or a garage sale or what they used to call them, rummage sales, but it's a free, okay?
Nothing could be given, you can't like give stuff that are broken or dirty. It's got to be stuff that you just don't need anymore.
Usable stuff. Okay, good.
Appliances, things like that.
Good. Over there. Somebody else over there?
I would say like a game night. I'll give you an example. What we did in California when I was there, we had a certain area where we opened up someone's house, and the youth or the college students that connected with people at school brought them, and it wasn't like a Bible study.
Okay, so was that aimed at a particular age group?
Oh yeah, college, you can be any.
Okay, all right. Game night for college age or teens, okay? All right, game night. Okay, here?
Life skills. But a lot of people are hurting because of things like financial difficulty or marriage difficulty or things like that. So
Okay, courses offered in financing or how to do a budget or marriage, okay? Life skills. Classes in life skills. Man, that is excellent.
We got a 3-in-1 deal here.
3-in-1 here. You ready?
Together with the sports thing, I think kids in the ghetto, they do definitely have it and stuff.
Kids in the hood.
The organized sports competition.
Organized sports, again, like the backboard at the parking lot, or maybe even go down to one of their parking lots and maintain a backboard because it's going to get misused. You go down there and keep maintaining that thing and go down there and spend some time with them, okay? Go down to the hood, okay?
One is offer free lawn service for summer and stuff like that.
Free lawn service. Go ahead. Somebody.
If you're thinking of something along the lines of a martial arts or wrestling class, we could call it grappling for God.
No laughing. Was that grappling? Grappling for God, okay. Martial arts classes and that type of thing. Okay, I'm coming back over there. You guys thinking over there? Man, oh man. Okay, one last one.
Those like more mechanically talented, also like free parking and stuff like that.
Free, man, I've heard of congregations doing this. This is excellent. Free car maintenance for those people that are car buffs. There's elderly ladies, widows in the community that have no idea how to get their car fixed and can't afford it. Excellent idea. Free car maintenance. I'm going to come back over here. These folks over here, I can hear their brains turning over here. Keep thinking. Keep that idea fresh there. Okay, right back over here.
Okay. I have several. What's the time close to this? When they're doing on probation and stuff,
Yeah.
what classes are required to take, like parenting classes and management classes?
Okay.
What kind of things should be doing?
So make sure that we are getting in touch with the law enforcement people that are requiring these things for probation and make it available, and at the same time tell them how much we care about them.
And then I have free long night out, one night a week that we have classes for the kids and moms get out for a night.
Free mom's night out. That's providing babysitting, and what are you going to do with the kids while you have them? Might as well teach them about Jesus. Okay, but
Next one is they have things for like, I think it's called Angel.
she got too much time to think over here. Go ahead, third one.
Free government food that we can be distributors of that. We can give them, distribute.
The government offers food by the pound. You could buy enough food to fill this part of this room right here, 8 feet deep, you could probably buy that for less than $1,000. And it's available for churches, for people to give. As long as you're going to give it away, they'll sell it to you by the pound. Somebody up there say something?
Yes, sir. I don't know how this would work down there in Lubbock, but something that we've kind of caught on to up here in the Northwest means that coffee is such a big thing, trying to do a lot of coffee shop Bible studies, and we're starting to get some good results.
Coffee shop Bible studies. We're going to be doing that, by the way, in our campaign in a couple of weeks. Going out to coffee shops and just starting discussions with people. Just bring up something in the conversation. It's a great way to get Bible studies. I've gotten many Bible studies that way. It does work in the north. I'm sure it'll work in the south as well. You have another one? Okay.
We need to have counselors on staff that are free.
Counseling on staff. That means not somebody who just calls himself a counselor, but somebody that's a licensed, legitimate counselor. Because you can get sued right out of your boots if you've got somebody calling themselves a counselor that's not licensed. So a qualified, licensed counselor offering that service to the community as a service of your church.
Regularly visiting like homeless shelters.
Regular visits to homeless shelters. Okay?
Maybe like the prison ministry, but how about like juvenile detention centers? And we're trying to do that.
Juvenile detention centers. Go and visit them. Okay? On that one about regular visits to homeless shelters, how about opening a homeless shelter? Why are we always letting other churches open homeless shelters? Huh? Okay? Remember, money's not an object here. Okay? What's that? Prayer walks in the community. Go out and do some prayer walks. Somebody comes up and says, "What are you guys doing anyway?" Tell them. Okay, what was that last one that you said back there? You missed it.
I was thinking of, juvenile detention centers or, foster homes.
Okay.
Foster care, there you go.
What is it that Jesus meant when he said visit the widows and the orphans?
Take care of them.
Okay, he didn't mean just go and say, "Hi, how you doing?" You know. Okay, Juvie. Spread them out a little bit because they're going to be crowding around these things, okay? Make them buy. Yeah.
How about making up boxes of appreciation for the fire departments, police departments, and emergency rooms? Like care packages as a sign of thanks for what they do.
Okay, care packages to servants of the community, firemen, policemen, and so on. Excellent idea.
This was kind of along, I guess, trying to reach our neighborhood here. What if we had, like in the summer, what if we had church outside a couple times, like in the parking lot?
Church outside, or maybe a tent, or maybe down at the park. Have our assembly someplace where the public can see us, hear us singing praises to God. Okay? Public assembly instead of inside of our fortress. Care packages for the troops overseas. Okay, military, especially congregations that are in military towns. Okay? 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 Mother, toddlers, does that be like Mother's Day out?
No, like they come to the building and actually meet together.
Okay. Okay, and kind of compare notes and help each other learn more about mothering, right?
I don't know if this really fits what Rich did, but the best place to really meet people is at our workplace.
Okay.
At our business.
Okay, so what's your suggestion about the workplace?
It equips people to know how to deal with, to talk to people at the workplace.
Okay, maybe start some Bible studies, group Bible studies at the workplace at lunchtime. Don't take time from your employer, but start group Bible studies in the workplace, okay?
Gary?
Some people already said, like, our church has, like, guys that come from the food lot, and, like, they're all very little stuff, so sometimes they're a little intimidated to come in, like, to church, they're really well dressed that night and stuff, and, like, I don't know, I think, like, it would be easier if, like, we had, like, house churches, and where they came in there, just,
Okay, especially in communities where there's farmers that maybe don't even have the clothes that would be appropriate for coming to the building, provide house churches in the community. Somebody up there on the screen said Jerry.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe a group of men who would be willing to volunteer a weekend or two a month to working for like Habitat for Humanity, some sort of community development.
Okay.
Basically to volunteer to, work, help repair people whose maybe houses were damaged in fire or something like that.
Men with construction skills, electrical skills, and so on, working together as a team to go out and find people in the community like Habitat for Humanity. Great idea, okay? Habitat for Humanity concept, okay, relief.
Tent meetings, but not in our traditional way of having it. My grandma was Melody, they had, like, the Baptist would take.
Okay, no details, just give me the idea of a tent
I mean,
meeting.
tent meetings where, like, you might do Monday night, Catholics might do Tuesday night, we've got Baptist, and it's got to be in a peaceful manner, not crude, not rude, but just preaching the Bible.
Okay, Bible preaching in a tent meeting, not fire and brimstone, but just making the gospel known, okay?
People knew the truth when they heard it.
Okay, good. I'm coming over. You guys thinking over here? I'm coming.
First off, like an evangelism parade.
An evangelism parade. Explain.
We would have a parade. I noticed, I went to a parade last year, I don't remember what it was for, but a lot of people would run around and give people candy and yada yada, and they'd come and interact a little bit with people watching. But instead of that so much, have an evangelism parade kind of, where as the parade progresses, it tells the story of the Bible as the parade goes on.
Okay.
And then there could be people in the parade who actually come out and say, and are available there to minister to people on the
Okay.
spot.
All right.
Also to
Keep that in mind because you're going to be voting on all of these. Remember what he's talking about when talking about evangelism parade. And next?
also to
Parade, like P-A-R-A-D-E.
yes.
Yeah. And next?
Also to a barbecue in front of Walmart with tables and chairs so people could sit down and minister to people. Free
Barbecue in public places. Feeding people out at Walmart or someplace like that. Great.
And
Okay.
like for the actual church to open a free coffee shop for teens where they can come and hang out.
A place, a hangout place in the building for teens. Okay.
And
With refreshments.
yeah.
Okay.
And once a month, like a carnival, use the parking lot for like a carnival or whatnot to attract people.
Okay, to have people drawn by events at the parking lot, using it for events.
And once a year, maybe more than that, if God allows. But once a year, like half at these carnivals, where they have a drawing and they pick one person and all their bills are paid off. I think that would be awesome myself.
A benevolence work to needy people.
But not just like I mean giving someone a new start on life.
Okay. All right.
Work.
All right.
Also to I think maybe
You guys thinking over here?
where once a month you can make set a limit on it, like say under $500 and everybody can bring bills, put them in the thing or whatnot, or copies of the bills, or put them in the thing. Is drawn in a lottery and 10 bills are paid off or something like that.
Okay. Bill paying by chance.
And and home improvement courses.
And what?
Home improvement courses.
Home improvement courses, similar to the idea of life training. Okay. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Community service, adopt a highway or adopt a park. Which you have to.
Community service. Adopt a highway or a section of road for cleanup, or adopt a park. I heard one particular congregation that adopted a school and landscaped it, took care of it. Adopt a public place and take care of it. Okay, over here, and then we're going to skip back to this side.
Free vacation. For example, free ship vacation, Bible classes, or anytime you leave and go to anywhere and you request it.
Plan some group trips together in which classes are taught on the trip. Okay. Okay. And that could even be over here, couldn't it? The idea of some brothers going ahead and doing it, but taking friends and neighbors and co-workers with us where you go on a fishing trip together and Bible classes are taught. Free vacation, okay? I'm going to come back to this side, so you guys be thinking, don't lose that one, okay? Over here, yes. Yes, sir, up here on the screen.
What about hosting like a community yard sale or something like that in the parking lot?
Okay, a community yard sale. Are you talking about selling the stuff or giving it away?
Just for anyone to come and bring up some of the church tables in the parking lot, and people can come and set up whatever they want on the table and just have a big yard sale where everyone's invited.
Okay, all right, good. Anybody?
This might not be too popular, but there's a whole sector of society that's coming out of jail that are not allowed to populate themselves with the general population because of their past crimes.
They're in a halfway house or something?
Yeah, you might call it that.
Okay. And what would you want to do with or for them?
To reach out to them.
Okay.
They can't come to a general Sunday.
How about establishing a halfway house that the church maintains and ministers to those people while they're there? Is that all right? That take care of it? Halfway house. Yes, ma'am.
Go around and display where different teams and they go out and get parties.
Okay, the teens get together, a work project, going around town and picking up garbage or doing some public service. And let it be known who you are. You do it in the name of the Lord. Yes.
Team up with international students coordinator in universities and try to get a list of the students that came to this school from other countries and try to set up someone or family to
Adopt?
adopt this student. Like
Okay.
services, like phone services, make it easy for everyone, but cause us problems because we
Okay.
have social security numbers. And
Okay, I'm going to repeat that for the folks up there and on the DVD. The idea of, and especially in university towns, set up an adoption program where you're adopting foreign students to make sure that their practical needs are met. Even maybe a place for them to do their laundry or a phone service that they have a hard time with because they're a foreign student. But adopt a student from a foreign country in a university town. Excellent idea. Okay, is that pretty well summarized? Okay.
I heard this over there, but I don't think it got written down. Help for unwed mothers, maybe services, maybe a place to stay temporarily.
Put that in the next one.
Yeah. But I think that is definitely important.
Okay, home for unwed mothers, especially when pregnant ladies have no place to go, no support group. Provide that support group. Over there on the screen.
How about just as you go through life? Period. That covers everything.
And provide what for them?
As you go, share Jesus. You don't have to have a special program to do it.
Okay, all right. Absolutely right. That's why I don't like to call these programs, but suggestions of ways that we can go out and serve. But make sure that as we go, we're taking the gospel with us. Yes, sir.
I guess this is kind of general, but it really depends on the community. Just hang out where people already are. I mean, find things that you could be interested in. Pick up different hobbies, people play basketball, go play basketball with them. Just find things that community is interested in and just plug yourself into it.
Okay, all right.
visiting the hospitals.
Visiting the hospitals, that doesn't mean because you know somebody there, but even when I go visit somebody in the hospital, I always talk to the person in the next bed. It's absolutely amazing. So going into the hospitals just to meet some new people and pray with them.
Setting up booths at car shows, county fairs, and motorcycle shows.
Setting up a booth, offering
Offering
Bible studies, free Bibles, Bible correspondence courses.
We have some free coffee.
Okay, at booths of civic events. Yes, sir.
I know music is really taboo in the Church of Christ, but we could do like, music lessons or organize an orchestra.
People misunderstand our not using instruments in our assembly, but they think we're against instruments, but find out that we can even offer some people that in our congregation that have music talents, offering some music classes. We got 2 more minutes before that film runs out. Yes, sir.
Having some walk-ins, like church walk-ins.
A lock-in.
Or like some holiday parties, especially for New Year's.
Some things going on at the building where we're using the facility to bring people in, especially like for holidays, maybe for teens, lock-ins and parties.
I would say having like some services just for encouragement with singing and prayer and scripture reading.
Okay.
Not necessarily like a message like this, but just like encouragement in the middle of the week.
Where it is for community groups, some of them call them seeker-sensitive or seeker-friendly services that are not preachy, but more encouraging. Okay?
The car, like show things, say like, invite a car, invite others to go on for a ride on Sunday evening or something.
Okay.
Go on a ride with
All right.
bikers.
Get out involved in some of your own recreational enjoyments together as a group in the name of Jesus, looking for others and inviting others from the community to join you in it. How you doing over there? Okay, good. Okay, we got 1 more minute, and then we're going to figure out what we're going to do next. Okay, go ahead.
Something like a music outreach to the community, like
get the other denominations to have their praise band or whatever, and you can have your singing group or whatever, and just have a big organization like that.
Okay, we used to have quartet singings quite often, but how about the idea of just having some of these events out in public places, even inviting some of our religious neighbors, okay? Do it. Take your singing group down to the nursing home, okay? Create a singing group in your congregation and go to public places. All right, listen, that was the warning bell, all right? I'm going to give Keith a chance to change his tape. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. Can you get the idea of what we're doing here? Just to summarize all of this. Why wouldn't this work in a congregation with the elders being the ones that are standing up here taking the ideas and writing them down, or the people of influence if you don't have elders, to the point where the congregation gets the idea we don't need to ask permission to do a good work. And all of these ideas are up for consideration. Now, one of the first things we're going to do when we come back is we're going to try to combine some of these, and then we're going to go ahead and have a chance to decide which ones we think are the best ideas. Okay? If you got really a hot one or two, after we come back from the break, we'll also entertain that. Okay? If it's much different than what we already have. You have one now? Until the bell rings. Okay, go ahead. Where there's a hospital to draw people from a large area, provide a place for them to stay. Okay, a Ronald McDonald House type concept. Excellent idea. Tim.
Website with drawing people to study the Bible and toll-free phone number call.
The public forum has changed from the Areopagus that Paul stood on in Athens. It's the website now. That's the place where people will go in anonymity and seek places to learn the Bible. So a website for Bible studies.